Hey y'all, welcome. My name is Adam Lockwood. I am head audio engineer and podcast producer at Legal Talk Network. Welcome to our live stream this morning. I'm going to be just doing a little bit of a walkthrough on editing a podcast. So hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll be answering those as we go along, and just kind of showing you a little bit about what I do and what it takes to get a podcast from recorded to sounding really great. So here we go. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right. So here we go. I work in Pro Tools. So there's a lot of different DAWs out there, digital audio workstations. I chose Pro Tools because it's kind of the industry standard. There's plenty of other DAWs out there that work just as well. A lot of similar principles in every DAW, but a lot of the same things will kind of cross-pollinate against with the different ones. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump in, and wanted to just kind of go through a couple things that I've already done prior to today on this session to get it prepped. So first of all, I've done a little bit of noise reduction and cleanup on both of these tracks. First, let me step back a second and just kind of tell you about this podcast. This is Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. This is a show that I produce. It's hosted by Guy Sokolakis and Conrad Sum, and they talk about marketing your law firm, and they own two separate legal marketing agencies, and they've kind of come together to bring their different perspectives and experience to help you grow your law firm. So it's a really fun show. We have a lot of fun on it. Definitely check it out if you get the chance. We'll have the link in the description here. So anyway, I've got Ski and Conrad here. This is usually just the two of them. We rarely have guests, but I've got both of their tracks in here already. And like I mentioned, I've already done quite a bit of cleanup on them. I use a program called iZotope RX, and it is a very, very capable and just kind of an amazing program for cleaning up audio. I don't have the audio piped through to the stream from RX, so I can't really show you exactly what I've done with it today, but maybe we'll do that in the future. But kind of do three major things with RX before I even bring it into Pro Tools. One of them is a mouth declick. This is something where it'll kind of take those smacking noises and kind of that goes on in the mouth, and it's kind of just undesirable to listen to, and it'll clean those out. It does a really great job of that. I also use the breath control module, which it doesn't take away all of the breaths when someone's talking, but it attenuates them a little bit. So that's nice. It kind of just moves those out of the way. And then the last thing is I use the Dialogue Isolate module, which is just a really fantastic machine learning trained cleanup. So it'll get rid of all the noise on your track. If there's HVAC or a washing machine, something like that, it does a fantastic job at that. So I've done that to both of these tracks here prior to bringing them in. Also done a little bit of general leveling and also any declipping if anything has distortion or anything like that. So yeah. Okay. So I'm seeing here, thanks, Lenny, you're saying that I've got a little bit of echo on my mic. So we'll see what's going on there. All right. Let's see if that helps. Most likely not. Okay. We're going to just keep rolling here. Okay. Actually, we'll try one thing here, see if this clears it up. Okay. All right, we've got my voice here coming through the stream. Perfect. All right. Okay, so here we go. We're jumping in to the edit here. So I've already done a little bit of that noise reduction, like I mentioned. And the other thing, a great practice to have is to have a template set up for your show, especially if you're doing the same show over and over again. Saves so much time. Kind of what I do it just a tiny bit differently. What I'll do is I'll bring in all of the information as far as like my plugins and my settings, and I'll bring that in from a previous session. And what that does is it really helps to kind of keep continuity between the different shows, the different episodes, where when you're listening to one and then you move to the next, it stays sounding similar to the audience. And so what I'll do is I'll bring in all of the information from my previous session and then go through and kind of fine tune. So let me just take you through my basic channel strip here. And I've already kind of done all of this and set it up so that we can export this, and usually go through and kind of do all of this setting and leveling beforehand, and that makes it to where when I'm editing, I hear what the audience is going to hear, and that's pretty important. So start there. So kind of just a few things that I run through. Usually have a gate sitting on the front, especially when it's kind of a back and forth two-person episode. That'll just kind of cut off any noise that does happen, and it also just kind of makes it a little bit cleaner. Next in my chain is a de-esser. You get a lot of those S sounds, especially when you add a little bit of compression. That will kind of attenuate those S sounds when someone is speaking. Bring those down a little bit. Also, next step here is our first stage of compression. So I run compression through in several different stages here. My first is I like to have it's basically limiting, or it's our ratio here is 8:1, so that is pretty high for a podcast vocal, but not like fully up to where it's a brick wall and lets nothing through. So I use this as a little bit to kind of cut off those really high peaks when someone's really loud, and also just a little bit of gain staging here. Then we run into our EQ. Couple kind of pointers here is mostly this stage in the EQ, taking out problem frequencies. So you'll notice here this one that we've got is what they call a high pass filter. So that'll take all of the lower frequencies that are kind of muddy and a lot of noise there, and cut those off and just allow everything above it to go through. And then I've got a few different things here. I really like this Fab Filter Pro Q3. It's a great EQ. Sounds really nice and natural. Then next, you've got our next stage of compression. This one is this one's doing a little bit more. I'm looking to take off around, anywhere between -3 and -6 dBs here. This has got a fairly fast attack, and this one, my ratio is a little bit smaller, so down to 2 compared to 10 on the other. All right, and then here I'm adding a little bit of additive EQ. This is the SL channel based on solid state Logic's big, control boards I believe they were kind of really popular in the 80s. So sounds really nice. I'm adding a little bit of high end and a little bit of low end here, and carving out a little bit of muddiness around the 250 hertz range. All right. So if you're a little bit unfamiliar with audio engineering and all of that, that probably all sounded like gobbledygook. But just kind of sculpting the sound a little bit with each of those. And like I mentioned, I did this previously for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. We also do a video version of the show, which is on YouTube. So you can find Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. It's at LHLM on the channel. We also have that in the description here. So kind of one of our process here is that we'll go through and I'll get these tracks and do a quick leveling and mix of these audio tracks. And then I send that off to Allie, who is our video producer and editor. She's fabulous, does a great job with the video. So I send her those pre-mixed tracks, and then she goes and does the video edit. I do the audio edit, and then we have kind of those two separate instances of the show. Just slightly different, but mostly the same. Okay, so that's kind of general track presets here. So let's go ahead and get into the edit here. Okay, one other thing that I've already done is you'll hear in just a second here. We've been trying a new thing on the show, and it's a little bit of a work in progress. So, all right, so I'm still getting the echo here for some reason. Let me see. All right, how's that? Are you able to hear me now? Thanks for the feedback. And also, hello to 4State Audit. Thanks for jumping in. All right, we're gonna give that a try for just a minute. Oh, nope, that's not coming through. Oh, it was better. Okay, excellent. All right, so you're hearing me. Okay, so here we go. We're going to jump in here. So like I was mentioning, the intro is one thing we've been playing around with a little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of it here, and then I'll kind of explain.
Hey, this is Conrad from Mockingbird Marketing. One interesting thing about me that you don't know is that I've had 5 knee surgeries. And my partner here, Lunch Hour Legal Marketing friend, what's an interesting thing about you?
And I'm Guy from Attorney Sync. And one interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
In one sitting?
Yes.
I know you used to be a big guy.
Yes. Bigger.
Bigger than you are now. Yeah. I am. I've gone the other direction. I'm moving in the bigger direction.
Go eat 30 Blimpie burgers. It'll help.
All right, so there we go. There's the intro of the show. One thing we've been trying to do is introduce the guys for the audience, especially new folks that come onto the show. I'm kind of on an island on this. A lot of people will say you should always, just jump right into the content. Don't keep your audience waiting for it. But in a show like this specifically, I really enjoy a little bit of banter at the top. And I think that does a couple things for the audience. It, kind of allows them to get to know the hosts a little bit better. So we're really intentional about it. We spend a little bit of time getting to know each of the guys here and talk about something that's just going on in their life, and then we'll get into the content. But yeah, that's maybe an unpopular opinion that I have, that I really like it. It doesn't work for every show. Maybe if you're doing an interview show, that's probably not going to work as much. But something like this, really just kind of want to create the feeling that you're friends with the two hosts here, and specifically that you're sitting down to lunch with them and just chatting and talking about legal marketing. So that's kind of the vibe that we're trying to produce. The one tweak here that we've added is that we're having them introduce themselves. Hey, I'm Conrad. Hey, I'm Guy. We work at Mockingbird and Attorney Sync, and this is what the show is about. So as you'll hear in here, they didn't mention the show. So at the end of our recording, we got a retake of that, and I already have it up here at the front. So we'll bring that in and see how that sounds. So here's a retake.
I am Guy Sakalakis of Attorney Sync, and I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
And I'm Conrad Salmon.
Okay, so we're still kind of talking about the same thing. Guy had a little stumble here, so we'll try and take that out.
Attorney Sync, and I once ate 30.
All right. So that is maybe a little bit funky. So I'm going to see if I can find that bit from our first take.
I am Guy Sakalakis of Attorney Sync, and I once ate 30.
Okay. So we're trying to grab the Guy Sakalakis and once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
Guy from Attorney Sync, and one interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers. Interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie from Attorney Sync, and one interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
Okay, so one thing here is, as you can hear, the tone in his voice. Our retake, he's quite a bit higher, and this one he's a little bit more mellow, a little bit lower tone. So this might be a little bit of a trick, but we'll give it a try.
Guy from Attorney Sync, and
so I'm gonna grab right there from
Attorney Sync, and one interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
And I kind of liked Conrad's reply here a little bit better. So we're going to try and add this as well. So I'm going to copy that over. And then, right.
Guy Sakalakis of Attorney Sync, and I am Guy Sakalakis of Attorney Sync. And
that's not quite what we want. We'll see if we can make this work.
Guy Sakalakis from Attorney Sync, and one interesting thing about me is he's of Attorney Sync and Attorney Sync and
all right.
He's of Attorney Sync.
So maybe I can make this work of cutting it right where on that T of Attorney Sync.
Attorney Sync.
Okay, so there's a T on the first pass. We'll try and line those up.
Guy Sakalakis of Attorney Sync, and one interesting thing about me is that
Okay, so we'll run with that. And okay, so a couple things here. You'll notice I've got this little guy here on the front. This is a fade in, And then where I made this cut here, this is called a crossfade. So what that is doing is it is kind of bringing down the sound on this first clip and bringing up the sound on the other clip, both at the same time. So it kind of blends them together.
Sakalaki's of Attorney Sync. And one interesting thing about me is that I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
All right, 30 Blimpie burgers.
In one sitting?
Blimpie.
All right. So another thing, good way to do this, just kind of backing up a step here too. As you see, I've got these two, both of their channels. I've got them in a group. I've called it my edit group. And what that does is that it will, anytime I make a cut to one channel or clip, it'll do it to the other as well. And that keeps everything in sync time-wise, makes it a lot easier to edit. The other thing, if you look up here in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to move things into shuffle mode. So when I make this cut here, it shuffles everything down to the left. And so I just wanted to take out a little bit of dead space there.
30 Blimpie burgers.
In one sitting?
Burgers.
In one sitting?
Of Attorney Sync, and I once ate 30 Blimpie burgers.
All right, so there we go. We've got that. Now let's see. Let's bring back in Conrad here, and we're going to catch him on his intro.
And I'm Conrad Salmon. I remember to introduce the show as Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. One interesting point about me, I have had 5 fractures of my front teeth.
And this is Lunch Hour Legal.
Okay, great. So we're going to just pick up right from Conrad's intro.
Unsitting? And I'm Conrad Salmon. I remember to introduce the show as Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. One interesting point about me, I have had 5 fractures of my front teeth.
All right, and then do you hear that? This right here is a plosive. So what he's doing is when he says
one interesting point about me,
one interesting point, that will make a really big popping sound. So what happens there is when you're speaking and that air goes and hits the microphone, it makes a big pop, and it's pretty undesirable here. In our EQ, you can see, I'll just kind of play it, and if you watch over here, there'll be kind of a big surge in the low end frequencies when that P hits.
One interesting point about me,
so kind of over here. So
one interesting point about me.
Yeah, so you see that low end kind of really rise up right there. But we're going to go ahead and clean that up. So plosives are one thing that you don't want to necessarily do a full track cleanup thing on, like you can do with the mouth declick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just address this plosive individually. This is another Isotope RX module that you can use in plugin form, and I'm just going to go ahead and fix that. And now,
one interesting point about me.
Sounds perfect. We're going to crossfade that, and then we're good to go. All right, so we've got Emma Martin. Thanks for jumping in. I do not know what a Blimpie burger is either. Guy is from Michigan, so I'm guessing that maybe that is some sort of Michigan thing, but 30 seems like a lot. So anyway, here we go. We'll jump back in. Yeah, plosive is the word of the day. We'll hear many of those.
One interesting point about me, I have had 5 fractures of my front teeth.
And this is Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
Front teeth.
And this is Lunch Hour Legal Marketing, where we talk all about marketing over your lunch break.
Pull up a cheeseburger.
All right.
Lunch break.
Pull up a cheeseburger.
So this part that Guy just put in here, this was, kind of telling just a little bit about the show. That's the one part that we really wanted to capture that we didn't on the first take, so that's why we did the second take, and captured it perfectly there. So you also notice that as I'm going along here, I'm tightening up their dialogue a little bit. For one, these are recorded remotely, so the guys are on. We use Riverside to capture the recording. You can do it through Zoom, whatever, but regardless, there's a little bit of distance and lag from the internet. So, that's going to make it be a little bit delayed. And so I want to just tighten that up for just a better listener experience anyway. And even if they were face to face, it might be, it might be the same, but, tightening it up, I don't want it to be like Gilmore Girls fast. I feel like, that's, way too tight, but we're gonna make it a little bit quicker paced. And then, yeah, so here we go. All right.
For your lunch break.
Pull up a cheeseburger. All right, Guy, I'm looking behind you. Burger. All right, Guy, I'm looking behind you. That's beautiful. You've got a new Attorney Sync sign. I love that. Behind you. That's beautiful. You've got a new Attorney Sync sign. I love that.
I do. I was trying to one-up your beautiful Mockingbird branding behind you, and unfortunately, it doesn't play that well on video. It lights up. I'll have to send some pictures out on the internet. So I failed in my one-upsmanship this time.
Good, which is the first, because you always have better stuffs than I do. I think Adam sends you the cooler mixers as well. Just noting
That's
that.
true. I do.
Listen, I do like seeing the logo in the background. I put this in the background because the background's otherwise boring. You've got yours. I think we've got the Lunch Hour Legal Marketing cheeseburger on your sweater.
All right, so I'm going to check this out. I think I kind of liked the first take from this point on, so I'm going to maybe take a listen here.
All right. Hey, Guy, I see in your background, you got a new sign back there. Yeah. I've gone the other direction. I'm moving in the bigger direction.
Go eat 30 Blimpie burgers. It'll help.
All right. Hey, Guy, I see in your back.
All right. We already got the Blimpie burger bit. So we're going to pick it up here. And we'll just go with the first take from that point. So I think they just had a little bit more energy on that first take.
Marketing over your lunch break.
Pull up a cheeseburger. All right, Guy, I'm looking behind.
All right, so we're going to cut it up to this point. And so I'm selecting all of that, and you'll see I still have the shuffle mode on here. So I will delete that, and everything scoots together. All right. Yes, and Allie, I do measure everything in terms of Gilmore Girls. So that is my dialogue speed reference.
Cheeseburger. Hey, Guy, I see in your background, you got a new cheeseburger. Hey, Guy, I see in your background, you got a new sign back there. I love it.
I did.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot more energy here, so I like where we're going with this. We'll keep going. All right.
Back there. I love it.
I did. I'm trying to one-up you because you've had your excellent signage, and sadly, mine's a neon.
Okay, so here's another thing. One of the things that I usually try and do in an edit is take out these kind of filler words, verbal crutches. We've got an here, so I'm going to cut that.
Because you've had your excellent signage.
And then throw a crossfade on there, and as you may have heard on that replay there, just a little bit of a trail there, so I'm going to clean up that edit.
Because you've had your excellent signage, and Because you've had your excellent signage, and sadly, mine's a neon sign.
All right, so Emma Martin asks, how long does it take to edit a 30-minute episode? I had no idea how much work goes into it. Cool to see behind the curtain. Thanks, Emma. Thanks for tuning in. Yes, it does take a lot of work. This one will probably take me about 2 or 3 hours. This recording is currently at around like 60 minutes long, so it's a little bit longer than the 30 minutes. We're not going to air everything on the audio side. We're going to break some of it up on the video side. In particular, we've got a little clip about search in ChatGPT at the end, which is really, really pretty fascinating. We had a screen capture to go along with that, so played really well for video. So we're going to save that one for video specifically, and we'll have a link to that in the episode description as well once that is there. But yeah, it takes a little bit, kind of a little bit of a guideline is, for every 10 minutes of audio, takes roughly about an hour to edit and go through. Obviously, as I'm kind of talking through this one and sharing my process, that's going to take quite a bit longer. I can pretty well speed through an episode and get through one if I am just going through and editing. But yeah, quite a bit goes into it.
Because you've had your excellent signage, and sadly, mine's a neon sign, and it doesn't work well on the camera. But I'll throw some pictures up. It looks awesome in person, and I'm from my iPhone. But
all right, so we add another close up there on person. You can kind of see this waveform popping there a little bit. And so I'll pull that up, and we're going to take this out. Okay, so in Pro Tools, one of the things that you can do is our audio suite allows us to basically take one of these plugins, affect the audio file, and it creates a new audio file. So this is kind of great for plosives and the like. One little trick that my colleague Nathan Todd Hunter, he's an excellent audio engineer, he showed me this, and it's just kind of a game changer for me, is adding this little buffer track in the top so that I can just have this, and my plosive plugin can just sit here on the top and float there while I'm editing, and then whenever I need it, come back and hit it. And yeah, it seems like I'm going to need it quite a bit this time, so I'm going to leave that there
in person, and I'm from my iPhone, but recording on my video camera doesn't look so hot.
All right, so I like when you fail on the one-up.
All right, so we got Conrad Dublin up there. Cut that out.
All right, so I like when you fail on the one-up. All right, so I like when you fail on the one-up attempt.
I'm just adjusting this a little bit.
So I like when you
make it sound more natural on that cut.
All right, so I like when you fail on the one-up attempt on the technology side, even although hardly technology. But listen, the reason I call that out, I think we talk a lot about having your brand and your logo everywhere. You and I spend a lot of time on camera.
All right, so we get a little there. Cut that too.
Go everywhere. You and I spend a lot of time on camera. A lot of lawyers spend some time on camera. Oh yeah, we got the Lunch Hour Legal Marketing logo on your sweatshirt there. But it's a really easy way, if you're going to spend time on camera, to throw the logo behind you. Mine is just. It's a really easy way, if you're going to spend time on camera, to throw the logo.
We got Conrad in the chat asking if Allie called him a Gilmore Girl.
It's a really easy way, if you're going to spend time on camera, to throw the logo behind you. Mine is just. The logo behind you. Mine is just frankly, it's just a sticker that we had custom printed. And we're not being paid by this company, but maybe we should. and we're not being paid by this company.
All right, so Conrad's got a little bit of a false start here, and then so we're going to try and clean this up. You know, kind of the goal here is just to make it just a really smooth and intuitive listening experience for the listener out there. So if you know, kind of one of the concepts that I've learned and really kind of put into my philosophy is for editing is that when you go along and if there's something in there and it doesn't add to the story or the emotion or you know, just doesn't need to be there for understanding, to take it out. You know, that kind of speeds up the listening experience, and it also you know, creates value density. That's a term that I think Jeremy Enns, he's Scrappy Marketing. He's a podcast marketing pro, and that's one of the things he pushes for is that value density. So getting as much value and information for the listener in a short amount of time. So that's kind of one big philosophy working here. So we're trying to kind of clean up this little false start to get going.
At custom printed. And we're not being paid by this company, but maybe we should. GetWallDrop.com will do a really professional looking background with a logo for you. So it's a great way to keep your logo in front of people, as if you tend to spend any amount of time in front of a camera. All right, Guy, what else? Any amount of time in front of a camera. All right.
All right, so yeah, there we go. That sounded a lot better. Yeah, fix it in post.
Time in front of a camera. All right, Guy, what else are we talking about today?
Well,
yep. Throw the red flag or yellow flag here.
Guy, what else are we talking about today?
Well, we will be talking about the Google review disappearances. Yext's. Oh, I'm already moving on to the wrong place because I'm
which
confused.
Is cool.
Because
no, I fucked it up.
Usually I say what's going on.
I know. And then we bungled that. All right. Why don't you say, hey, Conrad, what's going on today?
Conrad, what else will Willie be talking about today?
All right, so we had a little bit of a misstep there. We kind of have a little bit of a, you know, we plan through our episodes. We have rundown, and the guys, they have their typical kind of lead into the show, and Guy is usually the one that says, "What are we talking about today?" So it kind of threw them both off here. So we're gonna make this cut and get back to normal.
Professional looking background with a logo for you. So it's a great way to keep your logo in front of people, as if you tend to spend any amount of time in front of a camera. All right.
All right, so we're going to bring in Guy's. What are we talking about today here?
Amount of time in front of a camera.
Conrad, what else will Willie be talking about today? Conrad, what else will Willie be talking about today?
All right, so we've also got Guy stumbling just a little bit here on what else will we be talking about today. So I know that we did this in a retake. On the retake, we're using the original take here. So I'm going to come back to this, and I'm just going to leave myself a little marker right there. Don't want to go and dig through that tape right at the moment.
Will Willie be talking about today?
Well, as always, we're going to start with the news, a little juicy news segment. And then this is, if you know Guy, this is thematic to Guy. And this is, if you know Guy, this.
All right, so again, don't really need this little bit. So I'm going to clean that up.
And then, if you know Guy, this is thematic. And then, if you know Guy, this is...
And that's nice and tight there. But the one thing there is I'm hearing a little bit of breath or something.
And if you know Guy...
And I think it's on this. So other thing I like to do is have this line here. This line is what they call the gain line in Pro Tools. And what it allows me to do is I can increase or decrease the gain of any one clip. But it also lets me kind of shape the breaths and give a little bit of space on anything like this. So this should take care of that.
And if you know Guy, this is
beautiful.
Guy, this is thematic to Guy. We're going to be talking about meh, links, thematic to Guy.
All right. And then I don't think we need that to Guy as well. We know that we're talking about Guy here.
Thematic. We're going to be talking about meh, links.
All right.
Meh, links. And if you don't know why...
Oh, JK, Conrad's still talking.
No. Hit it!
All right, and we got a little bit of a fumble there too. So we're going to go ahead and just we'll cut that, and I'm going to come back to that part too. Actually, no. Let's go ahead and fix it right now because I want to show you our introduction to the music. So, let's find that back here. So this was our second take. I'm guessing maybe this is what we've got right here.
As usual, we'll be starting with the news, and next we're going to dig deeper into Guy's tagline, meh, links. What does he mean by this, and why is it so important?
Hit it.
All right.
Darren, up your professionalism. Guy.
In addition to turning yourself into a NASCAR driver, what else are we talking about today?
All right. So there we go. That covers our other little fumble there. So we're going to capture that too. Let's come back in.
To be recording, start.
We'll just fix all of this. Let's replace that with our second take.
Amount of time in front of the camera.
In addition to turning yourself into a NASCAR driver, what else are we talking about today?
As usual, we'll be starting.
All right, so we've got quite a bit of dead space there.
What else are we
and then we're going to go back to shuffle mode.
we talking about today?
As usual, we'll be starting with the news, and next we're going to dig deeper into Guy's tagline, meh.
About today.
As usual, we'll be starting with the news, and next we're going to dig deeper into Guy's tagline, meh, links. What does he mean by this, and why? Meh, links.
All right. So there we go. So one thing here, I don't particularly like that breath. So we're going to carve that out using our gain line here.
Meh, links. What does he mean by this, and why?
We'll tighten it
Meh,
a bit.
links. What does he mean by this, and why is it so important?
Hit it.
So important.
Hit it.
All right. So there we go. Guy is giving our little throw to music here. And yeah, if you know Guy, his tagline of meh links. This is a fun episode. We kind of go into why links are important for SEO and building all of that. So yeah, definitely tune in when we get this one out. This one will drop next Wednesday. Okay, so now we've got our music here. So I'm going to bring that over and drop it in. He gives us a nice throw to music there, and we'll see how this plays.
Links. What does he mean by this, and why is it so important?
Hit it.
A little early, so we're back.
And why is it so important?
Hit it.
Important.
Hit it.
So we're just kind of going for the natural sort of feel there. We've thrown to the music, and now we've got the music here. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but we've got a little yeah in the vocal track, and we're going to look for that, and that's usually where we have Conrad jump in with the welcome. So
Network.
all right, so there's our cue, and we're gonna go ahead and bring everything over here.
All right, everybody, welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I hope you're sitting down with a delicious. All right, everybody, welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I hope you're sitting down with a.
Okay, so if we got it here. I was thinking that Conrad forgot to introduce the news this time, but it looks like we do have it. Okay. Very good. All right. Let's see. Money. All right. Cool. Okay, so here we go. We're getting into our introduction and the news segment. This is a really fun part of the show. I think it's one thing that kind of really sets us apart in the marketing and legal marketing podcast scape. Not a lot of other shows really kind of talk about the news and legal marketing. So I think this is one of the awesome things that the guys do. And it's a lot of fun put together. It's always a really kind of upbeat, well, at least as far as energy. Sometimes there's some dark news that we have to hit, but yeah, it's a really fun part of the show.
All right, everybody, welcome to Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. I hope you're sitting down with a delicious cheeseburger listening to me and Guy. Guy and I are both headed off this evening. I'm flying a red eye. Maybe you're leaving in the morning. We're going to be recording surreptitiously tomorrow a next episode of Lunch Hour Legal Marketing. Maybe I've got that totally wrong. Is it on
Technically,
Friday?
it's Friday, and today's Wednesday as we're recording, but it doesn't really matter because this will all be in the past by the time people hear this.
Okay. It will all be in the past. But okay. It will all be in okay. It will all be in the past. But we're going to start with news, and then we're
All right, so I'm going to take that out that there. Just a nice little crossfade. Listen to my cut. Make sure it sounds good.
In the past. But we're going to start with news.
All right, so that breath was a little intense right at the beginning. So I want to fade it in a little bit so that it's not so in your face.
All be in the past. But we're going to start with news, and then we're going to talk more about links.
All right, so here's our little news drop.
Links. All right, Guy.
All right, so tighten this up as well. We play this live in our recording, but it's always a little bit of that delay as well to add that in. So we're going to tighten that up, get it nice and clean. So now it'll sound like this.
News, and then we're going to talk more about links. All right, Guy. We've talked recently.
All right. Conrad says, Adam, this is honestly amazing. I'm loving watching this and appreciating your expertise and pedantic attention to detail and even more. Thanks, Conrad. Yeah, it's super fun too to get in here and, make things sound really good, clean things up. No one's perfect in their delivery. These guys are as close to it as you can get. I think they're really, really excellent hosts. But making it sound even better and even more enjoyable listening experience, all the effort and time put into it, I think really, really pays off.
We've talked recently about mergers and acquisitions. What is going on in the technology M&A world?
Well, Places Scout was Places Scout was acquired by Yext, and Places Scout, for those that aren't familiar, is a really fantastic, in my opinion, local SEO tool. I think it's a huge pickup by Yext.
All right, so we've got another little plosive by Guy here. There's a couple other that I let pass, but we'll clean that one up. See how fast that was having this up here? I can just highlight it, hit it, do my crossfades, and then I'm on to the next one.
Huge pickup by Yext. Congratulations to, I think, both Yext. Congratulations to, I think, both parties here.
Who's got to pay the cost, Guy?
Right.
Okay, so here we got a little bit, the guys are talking over each other. It's a very, fun and lively conversation, so we get this fair amount. Sometimes I let it kind of ride and just kind of play with it and just let that energy be there. In Allie's edit for the video, she might let things ride a little bit more because you have that visual reference as well, and you can kind of see when someone's talking and when they're talking over each other. But when we're on audio here, it's a little different because a listener doesn't have that visual cue and might not pick up on what the one person was saying without the visual reference. So if it's not important, then a lot of times I will cut it out, and I think I'll do that here.
Parties here.
Who's gonna pay the cost, Guy?
Parties here.
So I want to make sure I don't get that breath from Guy, but we're gonna bring it up to Conrad here, and then I am going to take that rest of Guy down, and then this should kind of flow nice and smoothly.
Parties here.
Who's gonna pay the cost, Guy?
Right.
All right, and then we are going to tighten this up as well.
Cost, Guy.
Right. As we've talked about in the past, these acquisitions tend not to mean cheaper subscription prices for users. And so I will be watching very closely what happens to our Places Scout pricing as this acquisition rolls out.
All right, I have a question for you, Guy.
All right. There we go. Tighten this up a little bit. Kind of had a little bit of a pop in his breath there, so I'm going to kind of attenuate that with a fade here as well.
And it rolls out.
All right, I have a question for you, Guy.
Yes, Conrad.
You
getting a little more
question for you, Guy.
Yes, Conrad.
You are our surreptitious man on the inside at the American Bar Association. Can you tell me why they decided to pick a fight with Donald Trump yesterday?
All right, getting a little politics. Another plosive there. All right.
Decided to pick a fight with Donald Trump yesterday.
Well, I do not view them as picking a fight with Donald Trump.
Yesterday.
Well, I do not view them as picking a fight with Donald Trump. I view them as standing up for the one of the three branches of the one of the three.
All right, so he's kind of processing his thought here. He kind of gets into it right here, talking about one of the three branches of government. I'm going to clean this up just kind of to where it rolls right into it. But as you see, we lost a little bit of Conrad's laugh here, and I still want to keep that. So what I'm going to do now is make it to where I'm usually editing in with these two tracks grouped, but now I've turned that off. You can see this is grayed out, and I've got this fancy mouse over here that has a button that I can program to do that, because I'm doing this all the time. So that's one quick step that rather than coming over here doing a 3-button key command to turn off the groups, I can press one button on my mouse and have that pop up, and now I can just move this fade and adjust that fade and not all of it really quickly, and then pop it on, and you see my edit group is back on. And now we've got Conrad's laugh again here.
Or one of the three branches of our government, that being the judiciary. But if you're a lawyer and you're listening to this, if you're a lawyer and you're listening to this,
all right. Oh, shuffle mode.
But if you're a lawyer and you're listening to this, I don't care what your politics are. You should be out there educating your community about how the government is supposed to work, checks and balances, judicial review, and yada, yada, yada. Go back to take your con law 1 book off of your shelf, yada, yada, yada. Go back to take your con law.
All right, so there, kind of, Guy has an incomplete thought there too. It's just going to be a lot more powerful if we take that out and just go straight to what he meant to say.
And yada, yada, yada. Take your con law 1 book.
Okay, which is working good, but I think we're going to just fade that down just a little bit here.
You and yada, yada, yada. Take your con law 1 book off of your shelf, go reread it, and go tell the world about why the ABA is standing up for the judiciary.
Well, the judiciary still exists. All right, Guy, I had a miserable weekend getting hit up by a bunch of clients. I suspect you had a miserable weekend as too. I believe this is 2 out of 3 miserable weekends brought 3 miserable.
All right, so we got a little bit of a fumble on this. So I'm going to see if I can combine these two miserables here into one.
Miserable.
All right, so we've got right when Conrad starts to say Ms., he's making that S sound. That's a lot more a higher frequency, a lot more higher frequency material in there. So that's quite a bit easier to make a cut on something like that rather than the M sound, which has a lot of lower frequency content in it. And we'll see if we can make this work.
Miserable week.
All right, so there's our S there.
3 miserable weekend.
All right, so not perfect yet, but let's adjust these and see.
Miserable weekend.
Okay, a little bit of a pop there, so we're gonna see if we can bring it here.
Miserable week.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. You're probably still hearing a pop. That is because I haven't done a crossfade yet. I'm gonna get pretty particular on this edit and zoom in really close, and we see here the waveform. I'm gonna take those lines out of the way for a moment, and you can kind of see the frequency. And what I'm trying to do is like get this to where we're at the 0 crossing, and that energy is at 0 for both of these, and I think we'll try that right there. Oh, no, we want to do it over here roughly, and that's going to make less of a pop.
Miserable weekend.
Right, that sounds pretty good, even without the crossfade. But we're going to throw the crossfade on there too, and that will make it sound great.
3 miserable weekends brought to us by the people from Mountain View. This time it involved the apparent disappearance of people's Google reviews en masse. What on earth happened?
All right.
En masse. What on earth happened?
All right, just tighten this up a little bit too. Okay, very good. So that's working
of people's Google reviews en masse. What on earth happened?
Well, I think 2 things happened, and I'll be.
All right, so Guy's got this little kind of lip smack. I want to get rid of that a little bit and tighten it up.
Happened.
Well, I think 2 things happened, and I'll be honest. I'm in the minority position because in the chatter, the back room chatter of the local SEO minority position because in the chatter, the back minority position because in the chatter, the back.
All right, so we're gonna clean this up a little bit too.
Be honest, I'm in the minority position in the chatter, the back room chat. I'm in the minority position in the chatter, the back room chatter of the local SEO community. Most people saw that the
All right. Okay, another tip here is like if you have 2 edits that you hear at once, it's like if you can group them together and tackle a couple edits at one people here, so grab that too.
Most people saw that the review count, so the review count, so the number.
All right, we got a little bit of plosive on that C too.
Review count, so the number of reviews on. So just for keeping it easy, say you had 100 reviews, all of a sudden you had 80 reviews. In some cases, it was only showing you had the count was showing you had 10. Now you had the count was showing you had 10. Now, upon investigation, many.
All right, another plosive there. If I remember correctly, when we recorded this, we had Guy's microphone a little bit too hot on the front section, and then we made it that can kind of, most implosives, but having a high gain on it.
Upon investigation, many people were like, "Well, the reviews are actually still there. They're just not." I will tell you that I personally want to remain.
A little plosive there.
Reports from people that.
And reports too.
I received reports from people that unfortunately want to remain anonymous because they told me that anonymous anonymous.
All right, so we've got anonymous here. We'll see if we can clean this up.
I want to remain anonymous because they told me.
This one's going to be a little bit trickier. Still a little bit of a pop, but let's see.
Anonymous because people that unfortunately want to remain anonymous. People that remain anonymous because.
Okay, so I think our issue here is that, kind of like I mentioned before, when we're doing a lower frequency sound like an M or an N, that's when you kind of get pops pretty often. So I'm going to just try and adjust a little bit. We'll do a little bit wider crossfade.
Anonymous because
yeah, it's still there, but I think we'll just kind of let this ride. It's either kind of, a choice here of letting that stumble pass or letting this tiny little pop pass. So I think I'm going to elect to do the tiny little pop. So yeah,
anonymous because they told me they wanted to be anonymous. that actual reviews were missing too. And so I believe two things are happening here. The new thing is that this review count thing bug was going on. That Google acknowledged is that this review count thing was bug.
All right, so we're just gonna go straight to bug there.
Thing is that this review count bug was going on. That Google.
We've got a little bit of the TH sound that is there. I want to kind of get rid of that.
View count bug was going on. That Google acknowledged. They said there's a problem with it. They're fixing it. In fact, as of this recording, they're fixing it. In fact, problem with it. They're fixing it. In fact, as of this recording, many of these issues are starting to resolve. But the other are starting to resolve. But many of these issues are starting to resolve. But the other thing that's
didn't like that one. So I tried here to Guy said have and switched immediately to R. One of the kind of concepts with podcast editing that you want to kind of adhere to is that you want all of your edits to be transparent, meaning that when someone's listening, they can't hear that there was an edit made there. And I think if I take that one out, so you see here,
many of these issues are starting to resolve.
It really kind of sounds like there is one. So we're just going to go ahead and leave it in.
These issues are starting to resolve. But the other thing that's not new is that Google does filter out reviews that it thinks violate their policy guidelines. And so the patterns that were brought to my attention were
But I think we can get rid of this extra that, so we'll do that.
So the patterns that were brought to my attention were
a little adjustment.
So the patterns that were brought to my attention were reviews that were submitted at the same time, or reviews that were submitted at the same time and co-located, lawyers reviewing other lawyers, lawyers reviewing other lawyers.
All right, so I like this edit, but hearing a little bit of the breath there, so I'm going to do two things: get as close to I can to the previous one, but also I'm going to try and shape this breath a little bit, just kind of bring it down right before this new phrase. So a lot of times when someone takes a breath and speaks, it depends on what consonant or vowel they're going into. If they take a breath, that sounds a lot different than if they take a breath and go into like a T sound or something. You can really kind of hear how that is different. So I'll use this gain line to kind of shape that as well.
Lawyers reviewing other lawyers.
We're gonna just make a little bit of adjustment there.
Lawyers reviewing other lawyers, firms that had high velocity.
That's fine. I don't love it, but we'll just keep moving.
Other lawyers, firms that had high velocity, so like all of a sudden they like went from not getting very many reviews to a bunch of reviews at the same time. Those reviews,
little pop there.
At the same time, those reviews, it has been reported, have been removed, but that's something Google's been doing regularly. Whether there was a big push,
another little plosive,
TBD, but certainly that was brought to my attention that it was not just the counts being off, the actual reviews were removed.
And to further that point, there were your scores. Scores were changing over this weekend.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
and
scores are going to change if the scores are going to change if the count is not.
All right, so another instance here of the guys talking over each other, and I think we can just go ahead. I don't think we lose anything by cutting Conrad's little interjection here, and I think we can go ahead and just move into Guy's thought.
Right.
Well, scores are going to change if the scores are going to change if the
And that
Scores are
only
going
happens.
to change.
All right, so we're gonna take scores.
Scores are going.
Let's cut it here, and then we'll end Conrad right there.
For this week.
Yes. Well, scores are going to change if the.
We'll cut off that little bit right there too.
For this week.
Yes. Well, scores are going to change if the count is not counting all of the reviews, right? Because if it's not counting, say you got fives and a couple fours,
Oh.
and it stops counting fours, then your score is going to go up, and vice versa. If it stops counting, and it stops counting fours, then your
We'll get that out of there too.
Oh.
and it stops counting fours, then your score is going to go up, and vice versa. If it stops counting five.
Mahana Anonymous. Yep, that was a tricky one.
Counting fours, then your score is going to go up, and vice versa. If it stops counting fives, your score will go down.
Okay. You're saying that the change in the scores could the change in the scores could be
We'll clean up that little bit.
You're saying that the change in the scores could be endemic of the miscounting as opposed to a change in the actual reviews.
Yeah,
A change in the actual reviews.
yeah,
Opposed to a change in the actual reviews.
yeah. It did. So you can check this for
You do it
yourself.
both ways.
If all of your yeah, it did. So you can check this for yourself. You can check this for.
All right.
You can check. You can check this for
You do it
yourself.
both ways.
If all of your reviews are. Yeah, so you can check this for
You do it
yourself.
both ways.
If all
So we just kind of took out a little bit of the false starts there. Throw the yellow flag again, and kind of clean that up.
yeah, so you can check this for
You do it
yourself.
both ways.
If all of your reviews are still there,
Yeah.
and your score changed,
Yeah.
and your score changed and your count changed, that's a reflection that it was due to the count. If you have actual reviews missing, then of course your score is going to change as well. So your score can change for either of those reasons.
Okay. Now, we're going to get a little. Now,
For those reasons.
Now, we're going to get a little bit.
Those reasons.
Now, we're going to get a little bit into links. And we're coming back to this. This is one of my favorite things. This is links. And we're coming back to links. And we're coming back to this. This is one of my favorite things. This is why I really liked SEO from the beginning. Interesting posts from the AH from the beginning. Interesting post.
All right, so nice little tease on from Conrad there on coming up in the episode. We're talking more about links, but we've got another news item here and another plosive, so we're going to clean that up.
Interesting posts from the Ahrefs blog about Google says links matter less. And there was a study done on this by Ahrefs. What came out of that study, Guy?
So a lot, and we'll.
All right, so we're going to tighten this up again, get rid of that little mouth smack on the beginning of Guy's breath.
What came out of that study, Guy?
So a lot, and we'll put.
And I like that, but I think I'm going to just shape that breath a little bit.
That study, Guy.
So a lot, and we'll put a link in the show notes, and I'm very grateful for this post. It's very well done. But for this post, it's very well done. But the thing that I want to focus on today is that for local queries, links have an extremely high correlation with ranking, which is something that I've been saying for a long time, despite both Google and the Google, what I call the sycophant Google SEO crowd, who just parrots what Google says as.
I've got a hot take here and another plosive.
Crowd who just parrots what Google says as SEO gospel. And again, I'll stop there because I know we're going to talk more deeply about this. And again, I'll stop there because I know we're going to talk more deeply about this.
All right.
So
after that, we've got kind of the trail of Conrad's laugh here, so I am going to give that a little room too.
Gospel. And again, I'll stop there because I know we're going to talk more deeply about this.
Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, please take a
This.
Okay. If you're watching us on YouTube, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Keep the conversation going. Leave us a comment. Ask us a question. We do not have a question to respond to this time. So throw something at us and see what we will answer. If you'd like to learn more about links, we're going to go way back. We'll make sure this is in the show notes. Show nuts? The show nuts. Not to be confused with donuts. The show notes.
Nice recovery there.
We will throw a link for Is Link Building Worth It Anymore? Top 10 Link Building Tips, which we recorded 3 years ago and is still, Guy and I would both argue, very materially relevant. When we come back, Guy and I will talk on top of each other again.
Probably.
All right. One other fun thing I like to do is I like to throw a little Easter egg, mostly of the guys messing up most of the time at the end of the show. So that's a good candidate. So I'm going to throw that back here and save that for later. Maybe a little bit more opportunities to come.
Tips, which we recorded 3 years ago and is still, Guy and I would both argue, very.
All right. And then I know here, I think we got Conrad.
When we come back, we will unfrock the mystery that you've all been asking. What on earth does Guy mean when he says, meh, links?
All right. Nice little tease there. And then you heard this little YouTube introduction, or, kind of the typical like and subscribe. Hey, while we're here, why don't you like and subscribe to the LTN YouTube channel? Make sure that you hit the like button, ring the bell. That'll help the channel out. It's been really growing. Delaney, our marketing manager, she's been amazing. Really kind of putting a lot of time and effort into YouTube and growing the LTN Legal Talk Network YouTube channel. So yeah, throw her a like and subscription if you're not already. That would really make our day. But for this show, for the audio for Legal Talk Network, we throw in this little YouTube thing that we'll use in the video version of the show, but we're not going to use it here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out.
We're going to talk more deeply about this.
Okay. If you're...
All right, so we'll cut right there. Oops. We'll make sure shuffle mode.
SEO gospel. And again, I'll stop there because I know we're going to talk more deeply about this.
When we come back, we will unfrock the mystery that you've...
Deeply about this.
Oh, cut that off a little too soon there, so I'm going to fix that. There we go.
We're going to talk more deeply about this.
When we come back, we will unfrock the mystery that you've all been asking. What on earth does Guy mean when he says, meh, links?
All right, so nice little tease for the next segment there from Conrad. We're going to cut it right there. And this will be our first ad break. And then I believe we come back in here. So I just double check that.
Oh, what happened to local review? I thought, did you already do that or go review a local business?
No, that's coming after this part.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong part.
Guy is not following directions again.
I found my place.
All right.
This is the third time, right, Allie?
Yeah, I'm getting a little lost.
All right, there's another good candidate for the Easter egg, so we'll throw that back here too. All right. Excellent. Okay. So there we go. So we have edited everything up through our news segment, and we'll be getting into the first segment of the episode, but I think I am going to make you wait on that till the actual episode releases. So I'll just show you a few other things here before we wrap it up for today, the live stream. But that's probably as far as we'll go on the editing front. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer any questions that this may have brought up. But for now, I'm going to show you a couple more things that I do, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, so right here, this is our ad break. We use at Legal Talk Network what is called dynamic ad insertion. So what that means is that we can, whatever our sponsors are for the show, we've got some great ones, CallRail and Clio for Legal Talk Network, and we have a couple other ones coming on here shortly. But what it allows us to do is we can just go ahead and mark our break. So I'm going to create a marker here in Pro Tools, and this is where our break is going to start. And then let's see, I believe this is our start.
And we're back.
All right, so there's Guy bringing us back in. And so all I'm going to do is leave just a little bit over a second's worth of space here, and our podcast distribution service will automatically insert these ads in whenever anyone downloads the episode. And so that allows us to kind of change up those ads over time and, still have it in our back catalog and everything. So that's kind of how that works. It's a pretty good system. With all this video stuff happening, I am curious if it's going to stay that way, but it's working great for now. Oh, let me show you just one thing here. You'll see this little portion where Guy is talking. He was drifting away from his mic for a little bit, so I had to do a little bit of automation here on the gain line to kind of bring that back up and get it a little bit more level here. And you can kind of see, if I make a little bit, I can get this, and those waveforms will adjust accordingly. And so now it's a little bit smoother. So sometimes we need to do that. Most of the time, the guys are kind of right on point on staying on the microphone. I'll go through, and as I'm editing, if there are any parts like that, like right here, I may need to kind of bring that up a little bit too. But let's look at the ending here. So I know we had a retake there, which is over in this, but we'll get the end of the show, which I'm guessing is right about here, and we'll take a listen to this.
If you have a firm name that matches another business or another similar business that's not your business, that's the type of thing that you do want to make sure that you got your information across these directories, across as many different sites as you can, because that's going to tip the scales in favor of the LLM saying, hey, I think it's most likely that they're talking about this firm and not this restaurant.
You're all getting beaten by a restaurant in Detroit. All right.
And go ahead.
Go. No, I was going to try and wrap this up here. You do all.
So was I.
Bungle. Go.
You wrap it this time.
No. I bungle the wrap.
All right. Thank you for one.
All right. So we got a little bit there, a little funny back and forth between Guy and Conrad. We do usually have Guy wrap up the show, but Conrad sometimes jumps in there and does it, and he does a great job. But we had a little collision there, so we're going to. Well, I don't know. I might leave that in just because it's a little bit funny. So we'll see.
Love to hear from you. Now I'm bungling it. I caught a case of the Conrad.
Word soup. You're good.
Until next time, Conrad and Guy for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
All right, so definitely going to leave it in there since Guy said that. That was great.
I'm actually not.
All right, so that's where we'll end it. This was my retake, and I don't think I need anything from that, but I'm going to bring it over here and drop it there just in case. So now I'm going to take our closing music here and line it up. Case of the Conrad. Yeah, that's great. Love you, Conrad. All right, here we go. Now we'll hear that with the music and our exit, see how that sounds.
Or if you didn't like it, do the same. Reach out to Conrad and I. We're happy to answer your questions. If you have topic suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Now I'm bungling it. I caught a case of the Conrad.
Word soup. You're good.
Until next time, Conrad and Guy for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
All right, so there we go. There we go into the exit music there. As you might have noticed, Guy is starting to trail off a little bit here. So I'm going to kind of to compensate for that and make it audible above the music. I'm going to bring that up a little bit. We'll see how this sounds.
Word soup. You're good.
Until next time, Conrad and Guy for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
There we go. That sounds a little bit better. Bring this up even more.
Guy for Lunch Hour Legal Marketing.
There we go. And then yeah, I'll probably just drop our little Easter egg here right afterwards. So as the music winds.
LinkedIn and Instagram.
Oh, what happened to local review? I thought, did you already do that? Or go review a local business?
No, that's coming after this part.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong part.
Guy is
All right,
not following directions again.
I found my place.
This is
All
the
right,
third
here
time,
we go.
right, Allie?
Yeah, I'm getting a little lost.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, might leave that in there. Might clean it up a little bit. But that's really intentional too. I like to leave those little things in there because it's just a little bit of fun behind the scenes bit from the show. And I think also kind of one of the really important things in podcasting and metrics is completion time. So if there's a little just bite-sized snack right at the very end that people anticipate might or might not happen, they'll end up listening through this music track and kind of see the funny little things that happen there. So definitely kind of really intentional about that. And, yes, it's a little funny quip, but, there's some thought and reason behind it too. So let's see. Delaney asked, how do you make the intro music? So we actually bought a stock track for the intro music. This Money Makes the World Go Round. At first we were a little bit meh on it. meh, Money Makes the world go round. But, it's kind of grown on me, and I think it's really kind of grown on the listener base too. And it's a fun part of the show. And so, yeah, just a stock track there. But we got that, and then you'll also hear we do have a little bit of voiceover.
Our Legal Marketing. If you'd like more information about what you heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via Apple Podcasts and RSS.
So we had a professional voice actor kind of do that read for us. So we have that kind of announcer VO, and yeah, Allie, you are absolutely first in line for our next VO actor on the show. We'll have you jump right in there. So yeah, that is, kind of about what it takes. There's a couple more steps in the process. I'll go through and edit all the rest of this, which is a fair chunk. I do think, I'll probably cut right about here, because I do believe that is where we started talking about the ChatGPT in search. I think that's where that conversation started. So all the rest of this, I will need to edit still. Obviously, when I'm trying to talk and go through it like here on our live stream, it takes a little bit more time. But yeah, we'll wrap this up later today. But this is, excuse me. Sorry, had to sneeze there. So yeah, that's kind of what it takes to edit a podcast. Kind of the next steps once that's all edited is we'll do kind of the mastering phase. And that'll be a little bit more tweaking of the overall EQ and the levels, make sure everything is really nice and tight, and then kind of boosting everything up to proper loudness levels for the podcasting platforms. And maybe we can look at that another day when I have one. Thanks, Emma. And then, yeah, we will give that a shot. So that is it for today, I think. But yeah, really appreciate you all tuning in, kind of watching what I do. It's, it can get a little bit meticulous getting in there and getting really detailed with those edits like that. But it's also really fun to kind of see, taking something that's, really pretty good already, but then, getting in there and doing the real kind of fine details and making something really polished. And I think that really pays off. And, a lot of the podcasts you listen to, you'd probably be surprised at the amount of editing that goes into it, at least the good ones. And if you're not editing your podcast, you probably should be doing some, because you hear, this is a pretty natural and back and forth conversation between two friends, but there's still things that we want to kind of clean up and make it a really good listening experience. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for tuning in. Great to see Conrad in the chat. So thanks for dropping by, everybody. Hope you had a good time, learned something. Maybe we'll do this again sometime. So yeah, have your questions ready. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.